All right, part 6 of Zap Basic Training is actually one of the most important parts. It's the number one thing that I believe you should do with every single potential buyer contact that you have. The home value updates is number one for sellers. The number one for buyers is to set up listing alerts. Now, listing alerts are the same that you would do, say, from the MLS or from some of the other CRMs or real estate websites, where you set them up on an automatic listing alert. But I really like the ones here on Zap for a couple of different reasons. Number one, the way that they come to you, it's always got your branding on it. It's got, leads them back to your website or gives you all your contact information. It's really nicely set up. It comes from your email to them. The other thing though is, like we looked at before, you can see everything that they're looking at. So that, if you send them listing alerts, you can see the ones they click on and the ones they don't. You can see the ones they save and the ones they don't. So it's a really nice way of getting it started. The other thing too is when you put in new contacts, sometimes we as agents don't really know what to do next, don't know how to follow up with them appropriately, don't know how to keep in touch with them. This keeps in touch for you. You set them up on a listing alert and it will just start sending them emails from you constantly. I mean, when I say constantly, it's whenever new properties show up that are in the search criteria that you have entered for them. So you're keeping in touch with them without actually having to do anything. All right, so let's look at how we do this. So we're going to go down to campaigns, okay? And we're going to go to new listing alerts. Now, the first time you set up a listing alert for somebody, it's going to be really easy to get to because it'll say no new listing alerts, set one up now, okay? In the future, if you want to add a second one, sometimes people are looking in two different places or for two different types of properties and you want to set up an extra one, that's not going to be here anymore. This is when you're going to go to more and go to sign in as contact, okay? Because essentially setting up a listing alert, all you're doing is signing in as them, running a search, and then saving that search. So it's really simple, okay? So let's go to set one up. All right. Now, all you need for a listing alert is to know the basics of what they're looking at. Obviously, the more detail, the better, all right? But you can do it just, with just the simplest. Now, if you meet somebody at an open house and you don't really get a chance to talk about what they're looking for or anything, you're going to get in touch with them, start with the open house. If it was in San Mateo and it was a 3-bedroom house, set up on a listing alert for San Mateo 3 bedrooms. The worst thing that'll happen is they'll write to you and say, hey, I'm looking for something a little different or whatever. And you say, okay, great. Then let's give me some more details and I'll change it for you. So you can easily do that. So let's start with that. Let's start with San Mateo 3 bedrooms. So you're going to start your search. Okay. So I'm going to enter the city. I'm going to spell it right. San Mateo. Okay. Now, the first thing you do when you enter the city, it's going to immediately pop up as everything in San Mateo. So now is when you're going to go and add some more details once it loads in, because sometimes it's slow to load. All right. So you see the first thing is there's 307 properties for sale. On our website, we only see new and pending listings. You can't find anything except for a home value update that's not on the market currently. And we leave pendings in there by default, but there is a way to turn that off if you don't want somebody to see pending property. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do right up here. I just automatically open up more filters so we can get absolutely everything. Okay, so let's say, again, all I know is I met her at an open house that was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in San Mateo, single family home. It was listed at, what would it be in San Mateo right now? 1.3. Okay. So I don't put a minimum price. That doesn't matter. I'm going to put a maximum price of 1.5 just because if you're looking at a 1.3, hopefully you can afford 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead, put the maximum at 1.5. I'm going to put at least 3 bedrooms and at least 2 bathrooms. Okay. Now, that is really all you need to start with. The more detail you put in, the more you're going to be limiting the search. And that can be okay if they're very, very specific about what they're looking for. So like, for example, square footage. You know, some people think the square footage really, really matters to them. Oh, I don't want anything less than 1,500. I don't want anything less than 2,000. The problem is with our market the way it is these days, it's better to cast a wide net because they might really love a house that's 1,499 square feet. But if you had it set at a minimum of 1,500, they're not going to see it. Okay. Same thing with year built. I mean, sometimes people say, oh, I don't want anything built before, blah, blah, blah. I say leave it in, okay? I'm going to say single family because I just met her at the open house and I don't know that much about her. I'm also going to select townhouse and condo, you know, just keep that open. They can always tell me, oh, I'm not looking for a condo. Okay, great. I generally click townhouse and villa. It is very, very rare that you see an actual townhouse on the market, but sometimes agents will list a townhouse style condo as a townhouse, which is incorrect. But again, you don't want to risk missing out on something. You know, if it's a 2-story condo, people will call it a townhouse sometimes. All right. I would say, you know, don't limit the days listed. If it's still on the market, it's up for fair games. If you get to the point where they're talking about, we don't want to pay over, blah, blah, blah. Again, I would generally leave this stuff open. Now, pending sales, you have an option here. You can exclude pending sales. Maybe you don't want them to see anything that's already under contract. I don't think that's a bad idea. But sometimes properties do fall out of contract, so you might want to leave them in there. One thing I would definitely say is check on age restricted. If they are notably younger than 55, you probably want to exclude age restricted. But if you're not sure, whatever, I would leave that open. And then of course there's people, you meet investors who only want to look at foreclosures and short sales, so you can click show only. So you're not going to include anything that's anything but something that's a foreclosure or a short sale. Some people really want new construction, so you can say show only for new construction. So I'm just going to leave it pretty general. Do not get into this stuff. All right. It can be very tempting to start really, noting all of these things. However, here's the problem. Let's say you've got an older couple and they really want to have a master on the main floor. So you're going to be tempted to go, oh, great, I'll just click this, and then it's only going to show me things with masters on the main floor. No, it's only going to show you listings where the agent has specified that there's a master on the main floor, because it comes straight from the MLS information. Houses may have a master on the main floor, but if the agent doesn't click that in the listing, then you're not going to see it here. So my advice is to leave it as open as possible and explain to your clients if they say, well, why are you sending us all this stuff? I say, you know what? I can't always trust that other agents are going to put in all the correct information that you need. I would rather just cast a wide net. You look at them. If there's listings that, aren't interesting to you, you just skip them. Just move past. But I'd rather you see it and not like it than miss something that could be the perfect home for you. They're not going to argue with that. Okay. So now that I've done all that, and by the way, there's other advanced searches. You can click here to do a zip code search, a neighborhood search, a school district search, a proximity, to their work, whatever. So you can create other types of advanced searches. This is kind of the beginning search. All right. So I'm going to click search and I'm going to see what we came up with for right now. Okay. So we got 62 properties. All right. So all I need to do to save this search is to click right here where it says recommend search. Now, don't worry that it's going to send her 62 properties all in one email. It's not. It's going to send an email saying your agent has recommended a search for you. It's going to show her the first 3 to 5 and then say click here to see more. Okay. And after that, anytime something new comes up in San Mateo, up to 1.5 with at least 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, it's going to send an email saying, Kate found 2, 3, 4, whatever, new homes for you. Okay. So I'm going to click recommend search. You can change the search name if you want. So you could go, I always like to do something like, new homes on the market in San Mateo, something that will catch their eye. Oops. Well, just kidding. New homes in San Mateo. There we go. It can't be too long. And you always want to make sure to have this clicked, and it is clicked by default, email when the search has updates. I would be careful to add a message because it's the same message that's going to go every single time. So I generally just leave it alone, and it's going to, just send the listings with the, general email saying, here you go, here's the new listing. So I'm going to click email this recommendation, and now the search is recommended. Okay. So when I go back to the contact profile, sometimes it updates immediately. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, but let's see. Let's reload and let's see if it's there already. I just got a text message from my app saying, Kate, Uva recommended a search for you. Start exploring and get in touch if you like what you see. So because I have the mobile app downloaded, it did that a second after I clicked that button. So it does go right away to their, to the mobile app, which is really nice. And I'm going to hit reload one more time because sometimes when it does the three blue dots, it takes a minute. Okay, let's see. Now I'm going to skip down to campaigns and let's see if it's there. Home value updates, new listing alerts. There it is. New homes in San Mateo. Okay. Now, last thing about this, you can BCC yourself to get emails that they're getting. So you'll see the new listings as soon as they see them. Be very careful with this. You don't want to do that for everybody because otherwise you're going to set a lot of people up on this and you're going to be getting nothing but emails all day long. If you have a very special client, somebody who's really important to you, if you have somebody who's looking in a super high price range, pick and choose because, people that you want to be able to follow up with right away if there's something out there and then you can call them and say, oh, hey, did you see there was that new home on the market? I think I sent it to you already or whatever. If you've got a $5 million client, yeah, let's do that. Okay. All right. So that's how you set up a new listing alert. And again, my recommendation is to do that for every single potential buyer or buyer client that you have, because then you're sending them information, you're keeping in touch with them automatically without having to do anything else.